On this episode, Moe and Paige Becnel join us again as we continue with our parenting series and talk about a child's perspective of divorce and remarriage. That's up next on the Healing Place Marriage and Family Podcast.
Welcome to Healing Place Marriage and Family Podcast, where families are equipped to reflect God's redeeming love. And now here are your hosts, Michael Compagna and Jared Lambert.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Healing Place Marriage and Family Podcast. As you may recall, last time we were talking with Paige and Moe Becnel about blended families and the challenges faced by people who are getting remarried. Talked about dealing with former spouses, talked about forgiveness, talked about helping children deal with the transition. I encourage you, if you haven't listened to that episode, to go back and listen to that before starting this one. It's got some great wisdom in there for people moving into a blended marriage or who are already into a blended marriage situation. Today we have Moe and Paige back again to talk about more specifically children's perspective in divorce and in remarriage. Moe and Paige, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being here.
Hey guys, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We're blessed to be here.
Last episode was wonderful, full of great things. Looking forward to all the wisdom you're going to share with us today. Let's get right into it. Parenting is hard. If you have kids, you know this. I think, though, for me anyway, I have special grace for my own children. I would never change someone else's kid's diaper, but I'm okay changing my kid's diaper. I would never deal with the throw up of another child. That's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
But for my own kids, it's okay. What happens when someone else's kid now lives in your house?
You know, it takes a lot of grace, and it's not grace that comes easy. It's really having to tap into God's grace, and sometimes it's stepping back and asking yourself, what if this was my child, putting your child's face on this other body, how would I react? And oftentimes in a blended family, we don't take that time to step back. We just immediately go forward with our own emotions and responses, which can be so much harsher and less patient than if it were our own child. It can be really, really tough.
You know, I remember in our early years that I was expecting our children or listen to me, to do what I said, because I thought I was the adult, the new parent authority in the home. And they would do what I said, but then they would run to Paige and tell her how mean I am. And Mr. Moe did this, or he said that. And then I also remember them saying to me directly, "Stop yelling at me." And I said, "I'm not yelling at you. I'm just talking to you." But there was a harshness. I came to realize that they weren't lying to me. They weren't trying to manipulate me. They were really hearing a harshness in my tone, and it was because I still had some hurts from my past. And I had to really take an assessment of myself, of how I was talking to these children. And it really caught me really off guard.
Well, with your own biological children, you're there for every stage of their development, so you kind of know the backstory of why they're acting the way they are. It seems like coming into a blended home, you don't have all that context. You just see them as they are today. Does that affect your ability to discern the most effective way to parent and discipline?
Oh, absolutely. I remember on many occasions us, as we counseled other families, and they were, I'm hearing one parent be harsh toward his step-parent or her step-parent, and, we always try to bring out, well, that child is 15 years old. that biological parent has had 15 years with that child. How long have you been married? Oh, well, we've been married 4 years. Well, you've only had 4 years with that child. You need to give yourself time to develop a relationship, to a nurturing relationship with that child.
It's realizing that. Sorry, babe.
No, I was just going to add, shouldn't call a 15-year-old a child or they would hit me.
Yeah. I was going to add to what Moe said, just add on to that when a child reacts, they're reacting with a lot of the history that they've been through. And we don't always know a child's history, especially if we haven't known that child from birth. We all have a history. So what history do they have that we haven't even found out about? Do we know that were they a colicky baby? Did they have allergies as a young child that they've outgrown? Did they have something other than a divorce, something else that was traumatic to them? Did they, they're not going to play baseball because they got hit with a baseball bat. Do we know that? Did we know that they got accidentally hit with a baseball bat at a baseball game, and this is why they don't want to be on stepdad's baseball team? They're fearing that. Do we really take all of that into account, or do we just assume you're not listening to me, and we come out with harshness and this hard discipline?
Absolutely, yeah. That's definitely something you need to consider when creating a new blended family. Moe, we spoke last time about how the adults are probably going to process trauma of a divorce quicker than children. I feel that that's worth repeating. So why don't you touch on that a little bit for, if you are remarried and we want to consider the children's perspective, how is that lag time in processing trauma is going to affect how we would parent children that aren't ours biologically?
Sure. I'd be happy to, because it is a very valid piece of knowledge that every parent and step-parent needs to know. Adults respond to any trauma, whether it's a hurricane or a loss of a home, to fire, or loss of a grandparent, any kind of trauma, death of a child in the home. Adults respond immediately because they have to hold the family together. The children don't respond right away. And we got this from Linda Jacob, who is going to be on one of your programs in the future. She has worked with a lot of psychologists and has realized that children don't respond to a trauma for 12 to 18 months after the trauma. And that how that plays into a blended family is, since adults respond immediately to trauma, adults are often in a new relationship, or even possibly remarried by 12 to 18 months. And the children are just now starting to process the divorce.
Right. Yeah, so when we feel we're over it and we're trying to normalize things, they mentally and emotionally, they may be right in the middle of the divorce from their perspective.
Exactly. Right. And then you add, now they are moving into a new family, a new home, schedules are changing, friends are changing. Maybe they have new siblings that they're trying to get to know. All of that is traumatic. They're still processing the divorce, and now they have a whole new set of things that they're processing. It's building up. And speaking of which, I just want to throw this out. When you remarry someone with children and you're bringing children into that marriage, you think, oh, but everybody gets along. And they may, but there's a process going on in a child as far as where do they fit in this family? How has their position changed? For instance, one of my daughters was the youngest. Until Moe and I got married, she was no longer the youngest. Another one of my daughters was the oldest. And when Moe and I got married, she was no longer the oldest in the family. That will mess with a child's perspective of who they are. Another trauma for them to process.
Yeah, that's a very likely scenario. So I know that covers one of the reasons kids hesitate to become part of a new family, but are there any other factors that lead or contribute to children, hesitating to grasp and engage in this new family?
Yeah, actually, we've in our book we have listed 19 different reasons that a child may hesitate to connect with a step parent or the new blended family.
19 reasons.
We've come up with 19, and that's probably not all inclusive. That's just the ones that the Holy Spirit showed us while we were writing the book.
Wow. All right, now, folks, if you're listening.
The first one is the one that we all are very familiar with, and it's called the parent trap. And we have known families where children, the husband and wife, the dad or the mom may have remarried, and the children. Now, the Parent Trap stories, the movies, the children try to break up an engagement. But we have known step families where children have tried to sabotage and cause that new relationship to divorce. And actually, the last thing a child needs in a blended family is to see another divorce. In fact, I remember the Holy Spirit's clearly speaking to Paige and I that our 5 children, the only thing they know about marriage is that it ends in divorce. And he was challenging Paige and I to make this marriage, put this marriage together to be a healthy, strong, unified, loving marriage for our children to have a model for their future. And that's what God wants to do with every blended family. He is a God that gives us a second chance to have a first-class marriage.
Hey, now, second chance of a first-class marriage. I like that.
Yep.
And so there's others, one of the other reasons that they may hesitate is a child may still be hurting and angry from the divorce. There's competition between new siblings in the new home. A child resents the discipline from the new parent who expresses no love toward them. And just, I don't want to belabor the point, but there are multiple reasons that a child may want to not connect. And I'm not telling you that a child will have all 19 reasons, but I will also say that if a child is hesitant to connect, it's probably they probably have more than one reason. It's probably maybe 3 or 4 or 5.
Wow,
that's bothering them.
Well, what would you say to parents in a blended home? How do you get your biological children to embrace your new spouse? And how do you get your new stepchildren to embrace you? Could you speak to those issues?
Well, a way for your children to embrace your new spouse is, first of all, realize that it's not their responsibility to embrace your new spouse. It's your spouse's responsibility as the adult to embrace them.
Mm.
That's putting a lot of pressure on a child to make the family a family. It's kind of like saying, you hear people say, we were having a lot of marital problems, so we thought that maybe if we had a baby that would bring us together. That's a lot of pressure to put on an infant to save the family. And it's the same dynamic in a blended family. It's not the children's responsibility. So we would say, take that off of the children and you pick it up and you embrace those kids. Take them on a date night and woo them, woo their hearts. Get to know their likes and dislikes. What is their history? Go talk to them. Hey, let's just go out to McDonald's and I'll buy you all the French fries you want. Let's just go talk and just be fun. Let them do things that maybe with their biological parents' permission, of course, but have them do something that they're not normally allowed to do. We're going to go eat ice cream. We're going to go get the biggest one we can get, and we're just going to talk. We're going to get a banana split, whatever it is. And we're just going to have a conversation and just talk to them like a friend. Like, hey, what's your favorite sport? Who's your favorite cartoon character? Tell me about that. I want to know that character. I want to teach me about baseball because I don't know very much about it. And become that child's cheerleader. And as far as your children embracing the new spouse, you can't make them love that new spouse, but you can demand that they respect them. The position of love has to come from that new spouse.
One of the things that we say often, and we'll include this on any articles we write, that all people, adults and children, all people will gravitate to the place that they find true love and acceptance. And that's why gangs exist. That's why corner bars exist. Because people will go to those places because they get more acceptance and belonging in those environments than they get in their own homes. And this even includes biological families. So if we can, as parent and step-parent in a new blended family, can create an atmosphere of acceptance and belonging for every child in that home, we will build that atmosphere to where they want to be. It may not happen instantly. It's not going to happen overnight because everybody always waits to see if it was the pizza that person had the night before, or because they got a raise the day before. They want to see consistency. But if we consistently create that atmosphere in that home, those children will want to be there.
Come on.
Goes back to one of the things that Moe talked about, the hesitancy, and sometimes why are children hesitant. A big factor in all of this is that a child who has witnessed his parents divorce, a teenager, an adult, however old this child is, when they witness their parents going through a divorce, they oftentimes put themselves in the middle of it and think, what did I do to create this? They've watched two adults that they love deeply go through a lot of pain. And for the sake of that pain, they don't want to be the one that brings more pain. And so for a child to reach out and connect to another adult figure in their life that's in a father position or a mother position, they're going to resist reaching out because they don't want to hurt their other parent. They don't want to hurt that bio parent. Why are you so close to Mr. So-and-so? I'm your mom. And so they will resist. And so that new step parent needs to not step in as the role of a mom or dad. Step in as the role of, I'm just here to love you and have a piece of my heart that's just for you.
Wow. That's definitely not intuitive, but it does. I mean, it bears the weight of your experiences. I don't think you could ever come to that just intuitively. That's such good wisdom. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. It was something that we had to learn the hard way, without a doubt.
And we didn't do it all perfect. We had to grow into all of this.
It's not all the Brady Bunch, huh?
No, definitely not.
Well, as we wrap up, do you have any final do's and don'ts for people trying to raise children in a blended home?
Yeah. Definitely you don't want to put your children in the middle of two angry adults or two disagreeing adults. So you don't want your child to be the message taker back and forth between mom and dad. The adults need to be the adults. Something else I would say is don't make your child your confidant. Don't tell them adult information, such as, can you believe your dad did this? Can you believe your mom did that? Those are big don'ts. Another big don't is do not destroy the image they have of their parent because you don't have a good image of their parent. That will always be their mom or dad. And you created this child with that mom or dad in a very loving moment, I would hope. At this time in the game, don't destroy that image. They will always gravitate back to that parent, whether you like it or not. And they deserve to have the best outlook and the best relationship possible with that parent. And then we want to end with some positive do's.
One would be to just be your child's cheerleader. They need as much positive influence in this negative world as they can get, and that doesn't have to just come from the biological parent. That can come from the step parent. That we can be an ear for those children.
And when we say an influence, we love to give examples of famous people that were very much influenced by their step parents, such as Abraham Lincoln. It's believed that it was his stepmother that encouraged him to read, and she didn't read herself, but she knew the advantages of what reading and the ability to read would bring him, and she encouraged him to read. Another one is Gerald Ford, who was a president of the United States. It was his stepfather who encouraged him to get involved in politics. Another person is Nancy Reagan. Her surname was Davis, and that was her stepfather's last name. She actually took her stepfather's last name. So you can be a great influence on those children, even though you're a step parent.
Another do that we suggest is that step parents share vows with their stepchildren. And we recommend this, of course, for in pre-marriage for remarried couples, that they would include their children in the marriage ceremony, because that marriage is as much about the children as it is about the husband and the wife. And what would those vows say? It would be something, I'm not trying to replace your mom, I'm not trying to replace your dad, but I do want to find a place in your heart that is for me alone, because I have a place in my heart that is for you alone. And that can set the tone for those children, because a lot of times that is never expressed to a child, and that child thinks that they have to guard their hearts and protect their other biological parent from you trying to replace them. That step parent trying to replace their biological parent, and that just puts the child at ease. And we strongly recommend that. And we wrote an article about sharing vows to children, and we added, it's never too late. Even if you didn't include the children in your wedding, you can still have a celebration, a nice dinner out at a nice restaurant, or a dinner at home, and share some vows with your stepchildren.
And I would like to end with this. the last do give your children a voice. We have to remember that they are little human beings, and they have a heart, they have feelings, and they have a voice. And so often we go back to the old adage that says children are seen and not heard. And that needs to just be cut up and thrown out the window and not brought into our marriage. These kids have been through so much. They've been through a divorce that they didn't ask for. And then they've been brought into a new marriage that they didn't ask for. They're living out of suitcases. I don't know many adults who would go back and forth week to week or 3 days, every 3 days, every 3 days, sleeping in a different place, living out of a suitcase, not knowing where they're waking up day in and day out. I don't know many adults who would live like that, and yet we expect our children to, and we don't realize what we're putting them through. And if we would just give them a voice and listen to them, we might be able to help ease some of the turmoil that they're feeling and the very life that they're living that they didn't ask for, but we've made those decisions for them.
That's so good. Well, I think this is going to be life and health for a lot of people. We sure do appreciate having you guys on the program these last couple episodes. Just such great content, great insight into something that I think not a lot of people know how to handle. A lot of thoughts and expectations that they don't realize they bring into a marriage situation. This is going to be, I think, just a great resource for people. Jared, as we close, can you remind everyone how they can stay connected with the Becnels, what resources they have available, things like that?
Absolutely. They, like we talked about, 2002, they started Blending a Family Ministry, and more details can be found on their website, www.blendingafamily.com. On that website, you can take advantage of their book, God Breathes on Blended Families, and that comes along with their workbook to go along with that. That's a great resource that both engaged couples or blended families can take advantage of. We already, last episode, we talked a little bit about some upcoming events they have coming up here shortly at the end of October. They're going to be doing a marriage retreat up in North Carolina. Can you give us the details about that one more time, Moe and Paige?
Absolutely. It's at Camp Harrison, which is a YMCA. It's a 2-day retreat. It is October 24th and 25th of October 2016. You can talk to Lynn Marilla at 704-650-5353, and she will give you more information about how to sign up for that. It is military families, and so often, many times, military families find themselves in a blended family. So we will be there not to specifically talk about blended families, talking about communication, conflict resolution, different personalities, which all can be such a major factor in blended families. But we will also be there to answer any questions and talk to anyone that would like to talk to us personally, one-on-one.
Yeah, that's going to be an amazing event. Now, if you're listening from the Denver or the Colorado Springs area, Moe and Paige are going to be hosting a free blended family seminar at their home church, the Rock Church, located in Castle Rock, Colorado. And you can look for sign-up information on that, more than likely at the church's website, therock.org. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Awesome. And then probably sometime around this time next year, you guys will be partnering with Family Life Blended. Now, this is an arm of Family Life, of course, associated with Dennis Rainey and Campus Crusade for Christ. You guys partnered up with them, and you've helped facilitate some sessions and teachings at their Family Life Blended conference. So sometime around, you said y'all just completed that a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, they take this conference every year, Family Life Blended, and they pick a different city. And this year it was in Colorado Springs, and it was about 2 weeks ago. So we just had that conference here. But next year it will be in Nashville in November of 2017. So you'll be able to find those dates at Family Life Blended.
Right, Family Life Blended. Again, that's an arm of Family Life. So take advantage of that if you're in that area. So, well, I think that about covers it for you guys. Anything else you guys can think of?
You know, it's been a blessing for us to be able to share our hearts and what we've been through the last 27 years, and to be able to help, hopefully, another family, because like we always say, is helping one family, you're helping a multitude of relationships.
Absolutely.
So we're truly grateful to you guys for thinking of us and having us on today. And we just thank you for this opportunity, and we just truly believe in that ripple effect of touching. When you touch one family, you touch you almost touch a city,
right,
because they touch so many people.
Well, it was definitely a priority for me to have you guys on, because you guys are pretty much the trailblazers for blended families, singles, and divorce recovery here at Healing Place Church. So we definitely wanted to, honor you guys and get you guys to come on and share and encourage our listeners. So we appreciate all you've done, to help the mission and the vision of Healing Place Church here in Baton Rouge. And we know it was God's will, and we believe that y'all hear from God, but we really hated to see you guys move out west. But that's where the Lord needed you guys. So,
yeah, that was a surprise when we got here. All the doors that opened. So
awesome.
We're blessed. So thanks so much, guys.
Awesome. Well, it's good to see you guys thriving and reaching family. So, all right, there we go. Moe and Paige Becnel from Blending a Family Ministries. Well, that'll do it for this episode. Appreciate you guys listening in, and we'll see you next time on the Healing Place Marriage and Family Podcast.
Thank you for joining us for today's podcast. For more information about Healing Place Church, visit us online at healingplacechurch.org. To stay informed of upcoming events, check us out on Facebook. Thanks again for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share this podcast with your family and your friends.